Oh, do we need an intro tonight, honey?
Mm-hmm.
Shall we
wait
give these?
20 seconds.
Okay. And we are live. Hello, humanoids.
Hi, everybody.
Nice to see you tonight. Welcome to another episode of Inhumanoids Live. I'm your host, Barton Nunnelly. Right here beside me, as always, your co-host, my beautiful wife, Latisha.
Hi, guys.
Thank you, Tyler, right off the bat. Thank you, buddy. Also with us tonight is the one and only Hollywood. From
Yes. I'm here.
Butcher.
Hollywood Brandy Butcher. Hello, Brandy. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm just, I'm just really tired, working a lot of long, strange hours, but hey, I got tomorrow off. That's good.
That's good.
Yes, it is.
Everybody, Krista's a little under the weather tonight, not really sick, just having some things that she needs to take care of tonight. So I excused her. I was very nice and just let her have the night off. I love her. And I'm going to miss her too.
Right.
So y'all be nice and make sure you put all your comments in caps because I'm going to have to be doing this tonight. Uh-oh.
Yeah, so thank you, Brother Larry. Appreciate you, man. So we got a great guest tonight. We're going to have a great show. Before we get started, though, Laticia has a few things that she'd like to say.
Yep. As usual, just doing the February birthdays, same as always. Got one more day. No new birthdays except for Barbara Hall. Happy birthday a couple weeks ago. Dewey Edwards' daughter, Tracy, Sue G., Elena Catherine Smith, and Scott Warrens. Happy birthday to all you guys. And
happy birthday.
Next week, we'll have something new to say. For all your roofing needs, make sure if you need your roof fixed, reach out to this man right here.
Entirely.
Larry and Sons. Larry Fisher and Sons Roofing.
There you go.
Reach out to him if you need anything. He'll travel.
Doesn't matter where you live. You could live in Paraguay and he can still do your roof. So we got some prayer requests this week.
We did. So prayer requests are prayers for Brother Heck. Maddie Chapp's grandma's having open heart surgery in a few days. So everybody say a prayer that goes well. Yeah. Barry Robinson's mom is having surgery on April the 10th. He needs prayers that everything goes good for her. Tammy Call, prayers for health and tranquility for the whole group. Thank you, Tammy. Josh and Nellie and the PRT family. Josh and Nellie Turner, I should say, and the PRT family.
Yes.
Angela Bennett, Chuck Lindsay says prayers for people who don't have anyone praying for them. That's a really nice thing to say.
That's very nice.
A lot of people don't have anybody praying for them. Shade Viking, hope you get to feeling better.
Yeah, brother.
Angie Napier, Vic and Veer Galati, Krista Tweedy and her family. They need some prayers. Brandy Butcher and her family. Scott's Life's daughter, Megan. Cowboy 4572's wife, Cindy. Sam Burton. Trey Hood. Mark Staten. Sherry Griffey. Catherine and Roger Gay. I can't see with your arm in my way.
1 second here. There you go.
Mickey G and son Brandon. Brandon had surgery a couple days ago. He is home. He's doing well. He's eating. Say prayers for him to get better. But even more so, say prayers for Mickey G because she's got to go back to work tomorrow and she's scared to leave her baby boy at home. And I totally get that. I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck to you, Mickey G. Brandon, we love y'all. Daryl Denton, he's kind of had a little turn for the worse. He's feeling bad again. So he needs some prayers. Mindy Masters' friend, Eddie. Hawk, our good friend Hawk, he needs some prayers. Gina Cook and her kids' grandpa, Doug. Matt Impsch, spilling tea with Spunky Sparky. She needs prayers. And her son, they need some prayers. And
yes, please.
We're just going to leave it at that. She just needs some prayers, guys. Robert Basovsky, Anna and Kevin Jones, Elaine Lewis, and Wanda Henderson Lutz. And guys, I know I have to get up and disappear from the table a lot, but we have a dog who is getting ready to turn 16 or 17. We're not sure. When we rescued her, they wasn't sure how old she is. So for some reason lately, all she wants to do is sit here and stare at us and whine and want to go in and out, in and out. So
she doesn't understand the concept of
apologize.
live streaming.
Yes, don't get it.
Yeah, she don't get it.
Okay, so
I hope-
everybody, prayers.
Yes, please lift these people up in your prayers, brothers and sisters. They really need it, and we all know that prayer actually works when it's God's will. So hope you do that. Thank you in advance. And we've been really busy this week, Laticia and I. We've been filming for the channel and doing this and that, filming by the swamps, and we try to do a live stream from the swamps, but that didn't quite work out. So we went and did one down by the river and watched the sunset over the Ohio River in Union County, Kentucky. We had a good time this week, so it's only half over. So
and
I hope
the Dooster sent us some
Dooster sent us some
information.
instructions that we need on boosting our signal. Thank you, Dooster. How you doing, South Force 10? Mickey G, Ristall, Bubba, how you doing out there in the chat? Daryl Denton, how you doing, brother? Amy, Daniel, Figgy, hope you got your package, hon. Anaya, yes, Anaya, we'll be reading something from your husband very soon. Moon at Noon, everybody, BMR. Love to see you guys, and we sure appreciate you, every one of you being here and spending a little time with us. And we're not going to waste too much time. We're going to get our guest on. He's a pretty amazing guy. So let's get him on here, honey.
All right, here we go.
This is Mr. Rye Voss.
Yeah.
How you doing, Rye?
I'm doing great. Hey, Barton and Latisha and Brandy, how are you guys doing?
Good.
We're good, man. We're good.
Excellent. You know, it's a beautiful hot day. Well, not hot day, hot evening here in the rooftop here in Mexico, and I'm enjoying life.
Right on the rooftop down there. So we're having a cold spell here. It's going to get down to like 22 tonight, I think. And for everybody who's betting on whether or not I'd be wearing sleeves tonight, ta-da! I am wearing sleeves.
Sorry if you lost the bet. Probably more lost the bet.
Yeah, right now, you know, it's 8:00 and it's 93 degrees right now. So
it's 35 here, but yesterday it was 80.
Yeah,
so,
you were saying that's crazy. You know, those changes in spikes in temperature. That's crazy.
Yeah, I woke up about 2:00 this morning to my curtains flying across the bed, water, rain storming through the window, and it was just a craziness.
It was a storm, not paranormal, right?
No, it was a storm for sure.
Yeah, definitely a storm. Yeah. We was walking the creeks and everything this week, and it was like 70, 80 degrees. It was crazy.
I was watching that when you're on the banks there of the river and watching the sunset. You know, that it looked really peaceful too.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, man. Thanks for being there with us, Ryan. I wish we had a better signal where we, you guys could have seen that a little bit better. But with the Dooster's help, we're going to get something thrown together here to take care of all those problems down here in the river bottoms. There's no signal, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Cell towers everywhere, and yet still no signal.
Right.
Yeah, it's because they're all 5G towers.
And they've made it to where you can't turn your phones off of 5G now. They took the option away where you can't change back to LTE like you used to be able to.
Really?
Yes. So
See, 5G is it's stronger, but it doesn't have the distance, right? So that's why they have to put up so many more towers, because it doesn't have the signal strength. But when you're near it, it's a lot stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's made everything worse, if you ask me. Total waste of time and money and whatever it is. I don't know. They probably have something else, in mind with that. But
that's a whole other episode, right?
Right? Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, Rye, tell us a little bit about yourself for the people who don't.
All right. So, for those who don't know me, my name's Rye. I'm the host of Codega's Codex of Curiosities. I have a little video that kind of tells you what a Codega is. A Codega was actually a real person, a real job, profession in Venice, where they would guide people from point A to point B, providing safety, lighting the way, clearing off, making sure that there was no criminals or demons or ghosts or paranormal. And they would tell stories along this journey. And it's kind of something that really resonated with me. And so I took the moniker of Codega, and Codex of Curiosities is all about a collection of all the stories and all my guests bring in their stories, and I collect them and listen to them, and purveyor of fun curiosities. So that's that. Myself right now, I'm currently living, not currently, well, I am living in Mexico, in the Yucatan, and right on the Gulf of Mexico, and it's amazing, beautiful. I love it. So I've always had a thing for mysteries, strangeness, oddities, and kind of made me a little bit weird, growing up too. But there was the other people who liked it as well. We were kind of always the weird kids, the different kids. But when you're younger, you don't really like that. But as you get older, it's a badge I wear proudly.
Right. Well, I was always a nerd when I was a kid. I always had my nose in books when I wasn't outside, fishing and stuff like that. But I was always reading. So I'm just a typical nerd, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I know it's and now these days people make fun of you for reading and doing your own research and learning things. It's kind of strange. They want you just to listen to, they want you to be told of everything. But I think it's a powerful thing for us to, reach out, search out, discover our own truths and everything else that's out there. Right.
I agree with you, Ryan, on that 100%.
Yeah.
So you've had some paranormal events in your life, like you've lived in haunted houses before, right?
Yeah. So
let's talk about that. I'm right there with you, man. I've lived in a couple myself, and I want to tell everyone they're no fun.
No, they are not. They are not, especially when you're a young kid, And my first actual experience, it kind of predates my haunted house. And I'm not going to say it's a paranormal experience. It's a OBE, as people call it, an out-of-body experience. That's kind of the first thing I really remember. I was in grade 4, so that would make me about 10 years old. And we had in Canada, and I don't know if you guys have this in the States, we'd have these things called fitness participation, like these fitness challenges. And you would have to perform in these fitness challenges to win a badge. The better you do, you can get your excellence badge. And so I was a good athlete. So I wanted to get this excellence badge. So we're doing this one race. We're running this race. And we're getting near the end. And there's the group of the faster kids. And I was just a step behind them. And I'm like, no, I got to go faster. So I pushed myself physically farther than I ever had at that age. And when I did, I shot out of my head. Okay. So I am floating about 15, 20 feet above everybody else who is running. And I can see this. I can see everybody running. And then I see myself running. And it was as soon as I saw myself, then it was like back into my body, finishing the race, running. And at a kid that age, I don't really have a filter. Well, I don't have that filter anymore anyhow.
Right.
But I start telling everybody, oh my God, you won't believe what just happened. You know, I tell everybody. And of course, everybody's like, you're crazy. You're weird. You're strange. So that is kind of what started it all, and maybe dubbed me the strange weird kid, because I had an out-of-body experience at school when I was running a race, and I decided to tell everybody. So yeah, that is
it is kind of strange, but we do have the fitness challenge like that in America. It's called day jobs.
okay.
Yeah, it's like that every day, man. 8 hours a day.
That went at first. That was kind of like over my head, and then I'm like, oh my God, yeah.
No badges either, man.
No badges.
Just
Yes, no
another
matter
day in the books.
the harder you work, you still make the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that is weird. You know, I've been getting a lot of reports and talking to people that have had these out of body experiences. I've never had one myself. A lot of things that I've experienced, Rob, but a lot of things that I haven't, and that's one of them that I haven't. I don't know if I would like that or not.
And
Hello, Amy.
I've never had a hey, Darryl. I've never had another experience like that again, and I'm wondering if it was, you know, the feedback from that experience from everybody else, you know, kind of like, you know, criticizing me or making me feel, you know, like making me feel weird and different, that I stopped it then. Like, you know, because I believe that's something that we all have the power to do. We all have the power to access certain levels, and we also have the power to put those blockages and close those doors onto experiences. And I think you know that as well, Barton. And
Well, I don't have the power to do that, but
yeah,
my
it's
God,
so
Jesus Christ, He has the power to do that. Yahweh
Yes.
God. There's a triune God. Let me just add that there's 3 parts to that one God. So
the Trinity.
I just rely on Him, and He's always brought me through safely, and you know, here I
Amen.
am. So I guess He has plans for me. I don't know, but I hope I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing here. And so let's talk about your haunted houses. What
right.
kind of, did you ever see any spectral figures in your houses that you
100%. 100% I did. Yeah. So the first real experience I had, I would say it was about in 8th grade, living in this house that we built. So I'm just going to establish that it wasn't like this old house, this old farmhouse that we moved into. So we were living on an acreage. We call it a hobby farm. You know, we had horses and a couple other animals and livestock. And my daily chores were to feed the horses. And it was, I'm going to guess around 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night. And it was either fall or it was spring, because it was cold out, but there was no snow. And at that time it was dark. It was dark. So my dad calls up to me and he's like, Rye, have you fed the horses yet? And I'm like, oh no, I haven't. And I was up in this room where there's a dormer, window overlooking the barn, and I was working on my journal. I had at that age, you know, I was keeping a journal, personal journal. So I'm like, okay, so I get all changed and I go outside the house and I start walking and I look up into the dormer and I can see where the desk was, I can see where the computer was, and there was someone sitting at the computer, and it looked identical. And this is kind of strange. It looked identical to my grandma. Okay. My grandma wasn't dead. She was still alive at that time, but it was identical. She had like kind of like grayish, whitish, curly hair that kind of had like close curls kind of thing. And I saw big glasses as well. But my grandma's not here at the house as well. And I'm like, so I just, my mind, okay, I must've saw it different. Like, and I'm looking up and I can see this. And I'm like, okay, maybe it's my sister or my mom. So I run down, feed the horses, come back up. And I go onto the main floor, enter the main floor. That's where my sisters and my parents were. And I asked them, I'm like, who is up? You know, because it's my journal, my personal thoughts. I'm like, who is upstairs? And they're like, no one. We've been down here watching some sort of award show or something like that. And I'm like, no. Someone was upstairs. And my one sister's like, well, I went to the bathroom, which isn't upstairs. It's on the main floor. So like, no one's left this room other than me going to the bathroom and coming back. And I'm like, I 100% saw someone sitting up there, and they're like, no one has left. No one is there. So it was that was my first real experience of really seeing something clear as day, you know, because of course it's dark outside, it's light inside. So you can see just perfectly. And that was my first experience of seeing something in that house. Now, and I think I had told you about this, Barton, before, that this house always give me the creeps. I was always terrified in this house. It had this thing to it that when I was left at home alone, I would go outside, bring in all our outdoor dogs. So we always had one indoor dog, but we had outdoor dogs. You know, I'd bring them all inside, including cats. Cats were the outside cats. I'd bring every animal I could into my bedroom and close the door and stay in my bedroom. And to go and get food, if I was hungry, that was like an ordeal. Like, I'm terrified walking down this. And this is, you know, I moved into this house when I was grade 7. So, you know, I wasn't really young. Like, I was young, but I wasn't that young. You know, I'm getting bigger and growing up, and it didn't matter what age. That house terrified me. Always terrified me. So, so that house had that air to it, you know. And in the basement, I hated going into that basement. Hated that basement.
Yeah, we had a big basement too, and we didn't use it. It was the furnace was out, and the hot water heater was out, so we didn't even go down there. Right, it was huge and drippy. You know, it was as spooky as can be. We had a couple rooms down there, and crawl space access down there, and 13 steps going downstairs into the basement, 13 steps going upstairs onto the second floor. So I don't know who built that house, but something was wrong.
That is something wrong, definitely.
Yeah. Sorry, Wendy.
So then another just a small thing that happened with me with that. I remember I was climbing up my stairs because I lived on the second floor. My room was on the second floor. So I'm climbing up the stairs. And as I'm walking, I look into my room, and I had a pair of binoculars because we lived out in the country. You know, there was always coyotes and foxes. And that's one thing. Actually, a fox screaming, terrifying.
Oh,
you know,
wow. Yeah. A lot of people don't know just how startling that sound is, right? They think, oh, let's look at this cute little fox. But when they scream, and you don't know what it is, if you run up onto that at nighttime, I promise you will be scared.
100%. Yeah, it's like a banshee. It's like a screaming woman. It is terrifying until you find out what it is, and then you get used to it. You're like, okay. Yeah. And we had a fox that actually had a burrow on our property, so it was common to hear that. But so as I'm coming up the stairs, I can see my binoculars hanging on. I had a crank out window, and so they were hanging on the crank, and they were swinging side to side like this, like just violently, not making a noise, mind you, but just violently. And I'm like, what the heck? So I have to come up, and the way I have to come up, I lose sight of them, and then I enter into my room, and they're just perfectly still. And that was something that stuck with me. I'm like, what was doing this? You know, I have no idea. And so also to go along with this, my mother has had, because I'm escalating this as it keeps going. So my mother had a couple of experiences in this house as well. One morning, and it was always in the mornings for her. She woke up, and standing beside the bed, there was a watery figure. She said it looked like this person was watery, and they're wearing some sort of uniform. She said it looked more like possibly like an older police uniform, maybe, you know, early or mid 1900s, like 1950s, 1960s kind of thing, a police uniform standing by the bed, and then it just disappeared. And then there was another incident that she had. My father and I had left very early. I played hockey. Of course, Canada, you got to play hockey when you're there. But we had left around 5 a.m, and my mom calls us and asks us, what time did you guys leave? And we're like, well, we left at 5. And she was terrified. She's like, no. And we asked her, what happened? And she said that she had woke up about 6:37 a.m, and standing in the same dormer window where I had where the computer was, where I saw this figure before. She said there was someone standing there, and she just, you know, when you're waking up, you're kind of groggy and you don't really focus well. She just assumed it was my dad. Then this person came over to my dad's side of the bed and sat down on the edge of the bed. And she said she could feel the bed, like, you know, like when someone gets into a bed, not like these new foam ones where you can't feel anything, but she could feel someone get in, lay down, and then roll over on top of her. So Yes, and she said nothing happened after that, but it just kind of like went away. But those were my mom's experiences that she passed on to me. You know, and my dad had a couple of things, nothing too major, nothing really, just something disappearing and then reappearing days later in a spot that nothing should ever be, like right on a chair. Like he's looking for a file. It was a file folder. It completely disappeared, and then it reappears on this blue armchair, and like this was his favorite armchair, and there it is sitting there. You know, he didn't leave this day because he was searching for us because he needed this, searching everywhere, and we're also helping him. And he says some movement caught his eye, you know, and he looked over, nothing. He went over there, and there was this this file folder just literally sitting on the chair. And of course, like I said, that's nothing too major, but it's kind of like a disappearing object reappearing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that takes me to the next events. And one thing, and I know I don't know how Brandy feels about this, but I think Krista is okay with this. But I am not a fan of Ouija boards at all anymore.
Oh no, definitely not.
Yeah, so
you're right, Daryl. Brother Daryl, I'd be moving too if I could. I was stuck in my haunted house for 5 years. I had no way of moving, so it was bad.
Yeah,
terrible.
Well, I guess for me, Ouija boards are it's just another way of communication, which we do this stuff all the time. We use spirit boxes, we use tarot cards, we use all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Sometimes we even talk to our loved ones who are passed. They may not be the ones hearing what you're saying, but you know, we all do it. It's all an intent, and it's basically just close the door when you're done. Just say, well.
So I would say if you are trained, prepared, you know, even then I would be very cautious with it. But we're talking, I am a 16-year-old kid. My one sister is 17 or 18, and my other sister is like 21. And my parents went away for a week. So what do we do? Or actually, I think it was like 2 weeks. What do we do? Let's go to Toys R Us. And either Parker Brothers or Mattel is selling Ouija boards at Toys R Us because that's a kid's favorite game.
Right.
Yeah.
I think Parker Brothers sold that. Yeah. So it's just like Brandy said, it's a doorway. It's an invitation. And I won't let a Ouija board within 50 feet of me personally. That's just my own.
Myself as well.
I think Brandy and Krista and all the gang there at Blondes Booze are half crazy for going out and doing what they do, right? They're very, very brave. Yeah.
I don't use them that much. I'm just saying I don't use them that much. That's not my favorite way to investigate. I'll just put it that way, because you could be opening up stuff even when you're knowledgeable to things you don't know, because I mean, really, who do you know when and who you're talking to? It could be something that says it's your uncle or your aunt, but it could be something else. So you really have to be careful.
Right. Exactly right, Hollywood. It's not your dead uncle and your past aunt.
Right.
It's something pretending to be them. We all need to be very, very cautious. Like I say, I don't mess with myself. You guys are brave, and y'all can have all that you want. I'll take the werewolves.
We'll take the dog man and Bigfoot.
The dog man. They don't need Bigfoot really. But, yeah,
and I totally agree. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Barton.
No, I just don't want anything to do with spirits. Go ahead, Rye. Tell us about your
So yeah, and I agree with you, Brandy. It's you're opening a door. You don't know who's on the other side. It could be, Uncle Fred, but it could be Uncle Dead or something like that. Yeah, well, that's a terrible pun, but it could be some sort of demon or something. You don't know. And being that age, we had no clue what we're doing. We don't know how to close the door, and all this other stuff. I know I watched the movie, and I'm not a big horror movie fan, but I actually watched the movie Witchboard, which is about a Ouija board. And, I what I learned with that is you don't do it by yourself. That was the only rule that I really know. So we did this. There was a couple of incidents of things happening in the basement when we were playing with it, because you have all your friends over. We're doing this. Nothing really crazy happened for me while I was using it. But that's when things ramped up for me, because of course we didn't close the door. We didn't know what to do on that one. So I will say when I was about, and it's kind of strange because people are like, well, why don't you remember that age? I'm like, well, because I wasn't writing the stuff down now, whereas now I write everything down. And so I was approximately between the age of 17 to 18, maybe even 19 at the most, but we'll say 17 to 18. I had come home with some friends and wasn't drinking or nothing. There was no alcohol or anything included in that night. I come home and I remember they dropped me off outside and I was looking out at the night sky because that night the northern lights were out like crazy. It was just amazing. They're dancing in the sky. And I stayed out there for an extra like 10, 15 minutes, just watching because it's beautiful. And so I went in and I had to work in the morning and like most younger kids do, you stay up later than you really should. And then you start counting the hours that you have left to sleep. So I'm laying in bed and I'm looking at my clock and I'm like, well, okay, if I fall asleep now, I have 7 hours and 36 minutes of sleep. And, I think it was getting down to like the 6 hour mark. And it was around that point where something just told me to look up. Okay. And this is the key thing is I had full capacity, full functioning of my body. It wasn't like it was sleep paralysis, which some people have said, oh no, it's sleep paralysis. Like, no, this isn't sleep paralysis because I looked up. And so I looked up and floating above me about 3 feet, I'll say approximately about 3 feet, I could see a head and you could see the neck and everything. You could see the shoulders and it went down to around the torso and the waist of this entity floating above me. Now, it was blacker than black. And I know a lot of people have said that, so it's like this black, well, it's sucking that black in. It's so much darker. But when it got to around the waist area, I didn't see hands, but I could see like the individual arms about this height, just at the bottom of the forearm. And when it got to that, it went into a white wispy smoke. Okay. And it just kind of, it was like Hollywood style smoke kind of thing almost. Now, that was scary enough. But what was the most terrifying part about this was the eyes. So not the whole eyes, but just the, bigger than the pupil. So it was like the whole cornea kind of thing. The pupil cornea was a red, glowing red, not flashlight red, but like glowing red. And I've heard this before when other people have talked about, their encounters with cryptids and whatnot, where they said they had like these glowing eyes. They were luminescent, but they weren't like shining out like Matt Emshire. He's telling about his Dogman, where it was these yellow eyes. This was red. And I stayed there on my back looking up at this demon creature thing. And I was there, I would say it was around 3 to 5 seconds. I don't know. But, when you're in one of those situations, you have like the three, you have fight, flight, or freeze. So for me, it was freeze. And that's when people say, oh, you had sleep paralysis because you couldn't move. Like, no. I was frozen because I was terrified. So I laid there and it disappeared. Now, how long did I lay there after? I do know I was laying there for quite some time because I was absolutely terrified, mortified. And the next thing I know, I just woke up in the morning with my alarm going off for time to go to work. It was crazy. It was terrifying. And that there kind of, that was a defining moment for me. I would say that was a defining moment of my life path, of what I went and what I went after that. But it affected me greatly. And, I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody for a long, long time. Because, especially at that age, who's going to believe you? Even my parents, I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell my parents for years. I didn't tell my sisters for years as well. And it was something that I just kept to myself. Now, this will take me about a year and a half later. I worked a part-time job at a grocery store, and I worked the late shift. So I didn't get home till it was about 11:30 at night. And I came home. I was perfectly fine. And this one, this kind of thing that happened to me, this experience, I would say was this. If people want to dismiss this, it's easily dismissible. But so I came home and I was perfectly fine, and then I go sleep, go to bed, and all of a sudden I became violently ill. I started getting really sick, just like that. So I went into the bathroom, and in our bathroom, we have like the main part of the bathroom, and then there's which is where the sinks were, and then there's another door, and then there was the toilet in the bathtub. So I was in there getting sick, and that's when things started to play with my mind. And this is when I say, like, this could be easily dismissible. I don't know, because there was something messing with my mind, and I was terrified. I'm a 19-year-old young man, absolutely terrified in this bathroom. I'm not leaving this bathroom. Like, something is out there in the hallway, and it is waiting for me to come out. I was in that bathroom for, I would say, at least a couple hours. And like, I could not leave that bathroom. And I'm pretty adventurous. I do a lot of things. I've done a lot of things, but this invisible force is tormenting me in my mind, and it's showing me what I saw was a vampire. There was a vampire type being outside, not like a Twilight vampire, but more of like a Nosferatu kind of vampire. Like, it would have bulbous head, bald, pointy ears, long fangs, and it was just waiting for me. And this
That's
brings
what you
me.
imagined was out there.
Yes. Yeah. These are like the images that I was seeing in my mind. Never seen this thing before. These are the images I'm seeing in my mind. So I could have been imagining this. And that's where I said this could be, we could brush this off and saying it's not, but with everything that's happened in this house, I'm going to go to that. And that leads me also to this, when I started believing in energy vampires, not blood vampires, but energy vampires, that, they suck your energy, and blood is energy as well. So, someone's need that physical blood, whereas some are needing your energy. And it's, if people aren't sure of who energy vampires are, if you are watching shows that you're like, how are these people famous? Okay, so let's say Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I say that there are all sorts of and levels of energy vampires. Some people don't even know that they are, but they do this. You are giving them your energy, your time, which is your life, because our time is our life. So if you are sending these people your time and your energy, well, in a way that I actually believe, in a way that they are actually energy vampires. But this, whatever it was, knew exactly what it was, knew exactly what it was doing. And so I'm going to guess, I'm just throwing that number out there, 3 a.m. I don't know. I was screaming and yelling to my mom, 19-year-old man, young man, screaming to my mom because I still lived at home, so she could come get me. So she woke up. She finally came and woke up and came to the bathroom, she's turning on the lights as she's coming. And I played it off as, I'm not feeling well. I'm feeling really sick. So yeah, that's what I went with. I'm not telling that it's an active imagination. Of course, a lot of kids get blamed with, oh, you just have an active imagination. Well, sure. I do have a great imagination, but this isn't it. I don't know what that was. And that was kind of like everything that happened within that house. It was there was a guy who almost died. He fell off the roof on that house. He just missed some cement bricks when he fell off the roof. But in reality, there was nothing really on that land. The house previous to that, there was a native settlements on that land, and the only reason I know that, well, I don't want to say it's settlements, but natives were passing through that in much older times, because when we dug a hole to put a swimming pool in, I found this big, huge boulder, I thought it was, and I'm kicking it, but it's light, and it turns out it's a ball of pemmican. And for those who don't know what pemmican is, it's kind of like where the natives would take bone and berries and meat and grind it all up, and then they put it inside kind of like a leather leather ball, I would say that, and then they would bury it. So, and that was when times were good. They would do this so that they had these caches, these food caches, so they could come back to it. You know, in that house as well, I never personally had any experiences other than a young kid being terrified of the dark, you know, needed the lights on and afraid of things at night, but that was about it.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel like, besides when you said you were frozen with fear, like you had the fear part, but did you ever feel like depression or maybe somebody's watching you all the time, or did you have any of those feelings?
Somebody watching me all the time. Someone's in the house all the time. Of course, you know, as a teenager, you're having depression too, because, oh, the girl doesn't like me or something like that. You know, it's kind of like that kind of depression. But I was a pretty, you know, happy kid. I wouldn't say I had depression till years and years later, but for that, but being terrified in that house, thinking like there was something in this house, and you know, that's what closing off all my doors in my bedroom and bringing all the animals in was to protect me. It was kind of like trying to create this aura of protection without really knowing what I was doing at that time. You know, I'm just bringing animals in, you know, bringing my dogs in because I know that they will protect me.
Right. Well, I had the misfortune to stay in a haunted house where we lived like 3 nights by myself. You know, I never really had that many problems, right? I was laying there in bed one night and I heard this beeping sound go overhead outside, and I thought, well, that's just an airplane, and went right to sleep, right? And only the next morning when I woke up, I got to thinking about it, and I thought, you know, when's the last time I heard an airplane beep as it flew over? Never. And I really got those feelings that I was being watched, Brandy, when I was in the shower. It was the worst. You know, oh my goodness gracious. And it wasn't that bad, but you know, you have to wash your hair, right? And you have to close your eyes to rinse your hair off. And I just hated to do that, you know, especially if I was there by myself. It was like,
jeez,
it was the quickest showers ever. I mean, like zoom, 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 and I'm out of there, buddy.
Yeah,
I actually would. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Brandy.
I was just gonna say it's just a real quick story. I was in a house that that has been proven that it was haunted and blah blah blah. Well, I was the only one in the house, and I went to use the bathroom. I was walking to the bathroom. A male yelled at me and went, "Hey!" And I turned around and walked right back out of the house. I said, "Nope, I'm not using the bathroom here. Thanks." So I get it.
So PJ said, "Rye, did it work?" Well, I think so, because I'm still here.
There you go.
So then I will fast forward actually to another house that I don't know if it was haunted by spirits in that house or poltergeist. And the reason why I say that, I'm going to preface this, that when I was with my wife at that time, my ex-wife now, her previous husband committed suicide in their house. And she was kind of a black widow because there was a lot of people that she ended up being with that committed suicide. And I was at one point where I actually thought I was going to, but I'm still here. I didn't.
Wow.
So we're in a house that.
Is that you were talking about earlier, that energy sucking vampire? Was that her?
There could be relation to that. There could be a relation to that. Yes. You have no idea.
I probably do, man.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm 57. I'm a lot older than you, Rye.
There we go. I'm close. Well, I'm 10 years younger, 47. So
you're still a kid, man. I get my left arm to be 46 years old again.
So this other house that we were living in, that I put a lot of work into this house. Like I built a lot of this house myself. Things started happening in this house. And I will say that we had a ceiling fan in the bedroom that we had a remote control for, and it would, you can turn the ceiling fan on and off, and the light, you could dim the light on and off. And there came a time where the ceiling fan started acting on its own, and even if you take the batteries out, so the light would turn on and dim and go brighter, and the fan would go like, it would go from low to off to like blasting as high as it could. And this would happen anywhere between 1 and 3 or 4 in the morning. And this went on for about 6 months. And for the life of me, I couldn't figure it out. You're during the day, nothing. Actually, no, I don't want to say that. It happened like once or twice during the day. But for most part, it didn't. It only worked. It only happened at night while you're sleeping. All of a sudden, the light turns on. You're like, "What the hell?" For 6 months, you start thinking you're going insane. Like you're not getting proper sleep because you're being woken up all the time in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
It was crazy. So, like, I'm trying to figure out what's going on, and is it maybe in my mind, it's maybe the garage door opener from the neighbors, but it's in the middle of the night, like 2 or 3 in the morning, because it does have a remote on it, but I pulled the batteries out of our remote, but this is happening. I have no idea. So that's one thing that was happening in that house. My wife's daughter at the time from her previous marriage was living with us, and she was probably about 12 years old. And she got really, really, really sick to the point that she was absolutely weak, couldn't move or couldn't walk or anything. And we had taken her to so many doctors, and it got to the point where some of the doctors are like, quit faking. They're like, you're faking. This is not real. You're faking this. Like the doctors are yelling at her, like 10, like I said, I think she was 10 or 12, something around there, and yelling at her that she's faking. She's literally has no energy, can barely eat. And that's when I was sitting in the den, at my computer doing some work. And I started praying. I started praying to God. And I looked up above me, and in the corner, kind of floating along the corner and in where the ceiling meets the wall and in the corner itself is this blacker than black smoke. Okay. And it's kind of like has like a life of its own, and it's moving all around. And this is when I called in Jesus' name, like I command you to get out of here. This is my house. You do not belong here. You leave my family alone and leave. I would say within less than a week, her daughter was perfectly fine, back up and everything. There was some sort of entity that was attached to her, and I saw this thing floating up in the den there. So that was
that's crazy, Rob. But that is the only name under heaven with which we can fight these powers and principalities, right? That's what they are.
100%. 100%.
The word says they are, and that's what I believe they are.
Yep.
I'm a man of faith. I don't believe in very many men. I don't take the word of men over the word of God. So on anything really, and that's it should tell you everything that you need to know when you come upon a entity like that, or you're facing something like that, whether it's an Inhumanoid or we don't call them cryptids here, right? We call them Inhumanoids because that's what they are. But whether it's an Inhumanoid or a ghost or a shadow person, in the name of Jesus, they must flee. So that should tell you all you need to know, and also prove to you what's real and what isn't. Right? A lot of people, they don't.
Exactly.
They don't believe in God. They don't believe in the Word, but eventually it will prove itself, and God will prove Himself to all. I
agree, and it's that was proof in itself. Is that it worked? There were a couple of other things after that as well. Like again, me getting violently sick again, like almost like it just ramped up within minutes. And one thing I started to do, my comfort actually, is I know you said you were scared of the shower, but for me, I feel comfort in the shower. And I've learned that it's kind of like washing away energies. It's washing away because you get attachments and things. So it's kind of like almost like a baptism. It's a cleansing of your energy fields in these in showers for me. And I imagine that that's what it is. So at one point I was taking 2 to 3 showers a day, every day. And so the one time I was sick again, just instantly sick, and getting that feeling that somebody is here, somebody's watching, terrifying feeling. So I'm in the shower and I'm okay. And I started to feel better. So I came out, and then the taps in the bathroom. I don't want to say all the taps, but just like the taps, we had a big jacuzzi tub that was separate. Were just on, and it was just blasting water. And I was like, okay, that's not like and I was the only one home. I was the only one home that night because my ex-wife, her and her friends had gone out, and one of her friends, her mother is a medium, and it kind of had passed. I will say like the gift of vision, I guess, came down with her. So she spent the night in our place, and we had in the basement, we had a bedroom, and I got up early in the morning and she was sleeping on the couch on the main floor. And I'm like, oh, what do you you didn't like the bedroom? She's like, no, I it was too cold and I liked it up here. I'm like, okay. So later she told my wife that she couldn't sleep in the basement because there was someone else in the basement with her. So it was some sort of entity was in the basement, and she's like, nope. I'm all about nope in there. So
yeah, I don't blame her.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you talk about the shower. I was just talking to Sherry Griffey today, and I was telling her that my best time to pray is when I'm in the shower for some reason. I feel like sometimes I have, what is that? Whenever you start praying about something and you kind of have that, you drift away from it. You can't concentrate on your prayer.
Just get distracted or...
Yeah, just get distracted or something. But when I'm in the shower, I can pray and I can stay, focused on my prayer. So I was just talking about that today, and I was telling her it feels like a cleansing, just like what you said. I feel like I'm just washing away all the negative, and my prayers are actually getting through. So,
yeah.
Personally, I take a shower once every week, whether I need it or not.
ADHD is the word I was looking for.
ADHD.
ADHD. I have prayer ADHD.
I have ADHD, so yes, it's yeah, and the showers are my thing. It's, and I really believe it's cleansing, because not only are we washing away the actual dirt and grime, we're cleansing our our aura, our energy fields.
I agree.
Because there's a lot of when people are like, oh, I don't believe that, I don't believe in energy fields. I'm like, okay, when you meet someone who who's got like a bad attitude and you don't even talk to them yet, you can feel it. You can feel like I know people are like, oh, that's empathic. Well, I think we all have these things. We all have these gifts. It's just we're not really exercising them and using them to the degree that we can actually use them. But yeah, we feel other people's energies. When someone's excited and happy, it usually brings us up as well. When someone is sad and dull, we get drawn down too. And
right.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to break in for just a second. We're just going to take a couple seconds pause, if you don't mind.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, we're good to go. That's where the ads go. Okay.
Perfect. So I was saying,
when you was growing up, was your family like a superstitious family? They believe in the old ways and the old superstitions?
No, not at all. My family is very religious, very like Catholic religion. I went to church every Sunday, even, sometimes we went even more than that. And I was involved with the church as well. I was an altar boy. My mom and dad were all involved with the church as well. Very religious family. Though my dad has in his family, not like old ways, but I guess like there was people in his family that they would call healers. There was one that was this animal healer. People would bring their animals to her and she would heal their animals. And it was, we've never really gone too deep into that, but it had to do more of energy healing than anything else, like laying on of hands, kind of like what Christ did, Right. And so there was that. My mom's side, her great aunt had seen the Virgin Mary. That was something that was told a story when she had fallen down in her room. She was an older woman, had fallen down in her room. She looked over, and standing there was the Virgin Mary. So very religious family. If anything, I would say I stepped a little bit away from religion. I did step away from religion, and I don't say I stepped away from God. I feel that I'm now more closer with God than anything, but I stepped away from the Catholic religion, maybe more into the Christian realm, but more of like like I'm drawn to churches. I go every now and then, but I feel that my relationship with God is much closer than it's ever been, especially in the last couple of years. It's kind of really strengthened that.
Right. Well, welcome home, brother. You're in the right place. I really do. And we're instructed to pray directly to God in Jesus Christ's name. That's how we pray. But the Catholics, they instruct you to do things a little bit differently. And, it's all a matter of how you interpret the word, right?
Yeah.
So I believe in a literal interpretation of the word. I don't believe that everyone should have their own opinion of what the Bible says, because if you have 1 million people read one verse of the Bible, you'll have 1 million different opinions of what it says, right? So I take everything literally in there. It's good to know that you were in a good religious family, and that you weren't very far away from God ever. So yeah.
No. And I would say, like, so I ended up, because of these things that had happened to me in my life, I ended up seeking out, we'll call it the New Age, okay? But I also went and sought out a medicine woman and a shaman, a native shaman, an elder, and a native medicine woman elder as well. And I would say the New Age was more of a trying to fill a void, but I never saw anything wrong with it. And until I kind of stepped further away from it, I feel it's like a quagmire, and it kind of sucks you into something that you need to break the chains of that. Like I think it was a. Sorry, I think dogs are going crazy here.
My dog's going crazy too.
Rosie's really, I don't know what's wrong with her tonight.
She's just whining really bad right now. I don't know what's wrong with her.
So the New Age thing, I think it's all a lot of, there's issues with it. It's all about this light and love, and we're not going to look in the shadow. You want to look out and heal everybody and help everybody, but you can't help anybody unless you actually help yourself. And it's very important that we look within and deal with our issues within before we actually are able to go and help anybody else.
Right.
And I know I maybe going to ruffle some feathers by saying that, but that is what I feel. So, I went and I took my Reiki. I'm a Reiki master. I never really pursued that, but I went into this other realm of shamanism, and I actually I was training under a native shaman for about a year, and I learned some ways. And the reason why I was doing this is because I felt like the spirit world, these demons and whatnot, are kind of like bumping, they're and I'm going to steal a quote from, I think it's I forget the name of the movie, but I'm going to steal a quote from a movie. Don't know the name of the movie, but it's like, there's things that go bump in the night, and we are the things that bump back. And it was kind of, I also learned that we can do that as well with now with prayer as well. But so I learned under a shaman for about a year. And then after that, I fell into the graces of a medicine woman, and she took me in. I ended up being her firekeeper for her sweat lodge. I was helping her for her sweat lodge for years, helped her rebuild her sweat lodge as well. And to this day, I call her my second mother, because she is a very, powerful woman, or like she means a lot to me, and she has taught me so much, and she incorporates, the old ways with God himself, the creator himself. And it's a great teaching, and we're still in contact to this day. So, and like I said, it really, that one event really drove me on this path of self-discovery and being able to be self-empowerment, I would say, not being afraid anymore, because being locked in a bathroom in the middle of the night is not something I ever want to do again. And so now I feel that I have this better understanding of what's out there.
Right. And it's always the same, Rod. The truth is what empowers you. Knowledge is what makes you strong, right? And your faith. So
100%.
We're all just out here looking for the truth. Hello, Hellbent Holler. And everyone else in the chat. Mark Cowboy Green. Hello, brother. Yeah, the truth is, Jesus said the truth will set you free. And he was talking about himself, obviously. But he was also talking about all truths, right? So all truths are pearls of wisdom. So, yeah, that's what we're
100%.
looking for. We just want the truth, no matter what it is. And I have no problem with people who have opposing opinions to mine. Right? You don't have to think exactly like me to be my friend. The way I look at it is this: if you think differently than I do, then maybe you can teach me something, or I can teach you something, right? And that's how we learn. That's how we learned that about that portal video. It was, some people saw that immediately for what it was, and most people couldn't see it, including me. I looked at that video for months and months and months and sent it to all the smartest people I knew, and no one said, "Hey, that's the reflection of this woman's hands." So,
That was horrible.
It's got to be the most bizarre reflection in the history of mankind, but that's what it was. So once you see it, you can't unsee it, and once you learn a truth, you can't unlearn it, right?
And like I think it shows the stature of a person, a man or a woman, if we're able to admit that we're wrong and step back from it. Yeah, I was wrong. That is, I think that's a big thing that a lot of the world is missing today, is able to say, I was wrong, and kind of offer your apology and move forward and learn from it. Like that is the hugest thing in this world that I think we all have to do.
We actually had somebody leave our group because we came out and told the truth about that video. So
that's what we're here for. And
but you know what? We was like,
if you don't want the truth, then you shouldn't be here.
And
that's
it. Reminds me of a podcast one of the first podcasts I ever started listening to, which is Tony Merkel, The Confessionals, and his sign off, is the truth will set you free, but first it'll piss you off.
Yeah.
And it's true, because, like when you find out the truth, sometimes you're disappointed, you're pissed off, you're like, I can't believe that. And then it gives you freedom because you got to let go of it. And you got to, agree with it that I was wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how we learn, right? It's how we learn from each other.
Exactly.
Everybody has a different, but I took it as a lesson in human perception, and also as a lesson in the way that one person, or several people in this case, can teach the rest, right? And so everyone who told me that in a respectful manner, I'm very grateful to. And all the ones who told me that in a disrespectful manner, like that woman was trying to pull the wool over someone's eyes, well, they're no longer here. So everything, I guess, worked out.
Yeah,
it should. The truth is out there. We just have to find it. And
exactly.
Looking, you start dying.
Yep, I agree. I have a saying that I have that and it, I guess it's with the world today kind of thing. This is my saying that I've always used even when I was younger. It says, I can't see the truth because it's concealed by its lies. And sometimes, it's very hard to actually see the truth because there's so many lies in the way, and you got to move them out. You gotta look for yourself. You gotta do your own work. And it's that advice is for me. I'm not saying like if you want to use it by all means, but it's something like when I say stuff, it's usually I should be saying it in a mirror because I need to say it to myself, because those are the things that I need to work on and I need to learn.
Yeah.
Practice what you preach, in other words, right?
Exactly. Talk the talk and walk the walk is what I have to do. Now,
that's what we all must do, right? Good night, Mark. Thanks for being in the chat, buddy.
Exactly. And so I have a couple other paranormal, and then I can get into some other things.
Yeah, let's hear them, Rye. We're all ears, buddy.
All right. So I will say, it seems to step up that, like, and this is something that I've seen with a lot of my guests that I have on my show, that when you open a door or you have an experience, I don't say open a door, I say when you have an experience with something, it seems to be kind of like a magnet. Like I've seen a lot of people who have Bigfoot experiences, and then next thing you know, it's like more and more and more. Yeah. UFO or alien, more and more and more. And then for me, it was paranormal. It seems to be all the time. I see stuff all the time. And it's kind of like, I get a feeling though. I'm like, negative, positive, neutral, and I've learned to trust my gut. And so for most of it, I've seen is a lot of neutral things, just things. Now, The one was me working in my basement. I was renovating because I'm a hands-on kind of guy. I like to do my own work, and I was renovating my basement. I tore down everything and was working in my basement. This is an older house for Canada in my area, so it was, it was like 50 years old, 40 years old. And I'm working in my basement, hammering away, building, putting up walls. And out of the corner of my eye, I can see someone working behind me. And I can describe this guy down to a T, and he was right out of the 70s. He had kind of like sandy blonde hair. It was kind of just hanging, like just flat and long here. He had big wire rimmed glasses on. He had a white, like had a plaid shirt. It was the base was white, and then the checkers were like a blue with a couple other like lines in them. He had these jeans on that were pulled up a little high with a belt, cinched around around his waist, high up around his waist. And he was in the basement there working with me as well. Of course, he wasn't really there, but I could see him. I was looking for about 5 seconds, and I could see this old, and he was about 45 years old and just working in the basement. So I took that as the person who was what is it? The carpenter. Sorry, how did that word escape me? So it was the carpenter who. Yeah, exactly. 57. Yeah. It was the carpenter who built the house. That was my take on it. And that was just, and that's just me making an assumption. I'm like, it was the carpenter who built the house, who would put all his time and energy in there. And I actually don't think it was an actual ghost. I'm going to clarify. I think it was what some would call, and I'm sure Brandy knows this, a residual haunting, where it was someone who puts a lot of energy into a place. And it's kind of like a repeat, kind of like just kind of going over the same motions that have happened. It's not the actual ghost. It's kind of just a loose representation, a hologram of that individual from so long ago. And when I renovated the basement, I stirred up these energies and was able to see that at that time. So that's what I believe that was. I don't believe it was the actual carpenter or the actual ghost. Like the actual man of that time. It was just this residual haunting from there. So that was really interesting, and no negative feeling at all. But in that house, though, my wife kept getting bothered in the middle of the night by someone whispering into her ear and waking her up. She, was just about to fall asleep, and someone's like saying the name of my daughter or saying her name, and she thought it was me. There were times she'd be like, "What do you want?" And I'm sound asleep. I'm like, "Nothing." And it got so bad to the point that she actually thought it was me. That it's not like we're still together, but she slept in another bedroom. She's like, I can't sleep at night because I think it's you that's waking me up. And so she started sleeping in another bedroom, and of course it followed her, and someone was whispering in her ear, trying to get her attention and wake her up, which was really interesting. Also, my wife is Mexican, so part of the Mexican tradition is to put up an ofrenda, and an ofrenda is it's like a altar to your past loved ones. And you do that on November 1st and November 2nd, which is Day of the Dead. So you put up this altar, you put up their pictures. It's a remembrance. It's actually a really beautiful kind of ceremony. You put up their pictures to remember them, and then you put up their favorite foods and drinks as well, so that their spirits can come back and partake in whatever is out there. So it would be, like maybe it's tequila or something like that. If it's a man, you might put out tequila if you like tequila, put out some bread. And we had a picture of my wife's grandpa that was up on the ofrenda. And it was about around Christmas time. So we had taken it all down already. And it was around Christmas time. My daughter says to my wife, she's like, "Oh, your grandpa was here." And my wife's like, "What?" She's like, "Well, the one that was up on the altar, the picture." And she's like, "Well, what do you mean he was here?" And she's like, "He was sitting in that chair right over there while I think it was when we're putting up the Christmas tree, or it was around some sort of festive time, it was a good time." And she had told us that he was sitting there and watching. So it was wow. that was cool. I actually liked that. I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Well, I can promise you one thing, brother. We don't get to stick around this earth when we die. So
yes.
whatever it is that, that you saw, it's...
You think it is kind of like a copycat or something like that?
Right. Well, something could be mimicking another person, right? Something that's not quite human. And so, the Bible tells us pretty plainly what all we have to look forward to, these spirits that have anything to do with mankind, right? We don't have any kind of I don't know, any kind of contact with anything other than what the Bible says, which is God and his angels, right? Yep. Satan and his fallen angels, which are demons, and the evil spirits of the earth. So
I'm wondering though, if there's a chance that possibly, us as beings, could eventually come back as a guardian angel. That's something I've had a thought of, is that you can go and watch over your family, not as a spirit, but more of as a guardian. You're protecting your family. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's a nice thought. And there are guardian angels, right? Supposedly we all have them, but they're not human beings. So it's our lot to judge the angels. A lot of people don't know that, but that's what the Bible says, that we will be the judge of these angels. So
very interesting. Very interesting. I appreciate your point of view on that and your take on it, from the Bible. I appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate you too. Let's talk about something other than spooks.
Okay. Let's jump to the UFOs that I saw here in Mexico.
There we go.
All right. So the UFOs that I saw here in Mexico, I was in Chihuahua in 2014, and I don't have it actually with me, the exact month and date. I believe it was, we'll say May of 2014. And I was in a grocery store. I come out of the grocery store and I'm walking middle of the day. I would say even earlier, maybe 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. And I'm walking out to the car. I get to the car, and of course, something just tells me, look up. So I look up, and floating above me is this cloud. and I know when I say this, everyone's like, okay, yeah, there's clouds are supposed to be in the sky. Yeah, but it's not a cloud. It is like this. It's a cloud that's moving and shaping and changing shape. It's undulating, growing, kind of flipping over itself, growing and moving around. Okay.
Wow.
And there's not any other clouds in the sky. So this is like, oh, it's just a cloud, or it's ball. No, it's not. It's this thing that's moving around. It's this white object. It's not a cloud, because clouds look differently than this, though it's trying to look like a cloud. And I'm sitting there with my grocery cart, staring up at this thing, and I'm, what the heck, and there's people walking all around. No one else is looking up. I'm the only one looking at this. And at the time I had a Galaxy Samsung S3. And so I'm trying to video this with my cell phone. It's not, I cannot, it's not showing up. So the best thing I can,
we've had that problem lately too. Me and Laticia both. We thought we were filming and got home to download the footage, and there was none. So
yeah,
when that happens, it's happened to me twice so far.
Yeah, and it was filming, but it's filming a blue sky with nothing else there, and it was crazy. So what can I do? Well, I called my wife. She's at work, and I'm like, you'd never believe what I see, what I'm looking at here. And I'm looking at this for a while. So it was doing this for about 3 minutes before I called my wife. And then I look off to my left, and there is two very small triangular objects. Okay. And these triangular objects are kind of an intersect course of each other, not of this white object, but so they're coming in like this, and they're moving in like this, and they're not moving at a high rate of speed. That's one thing that, everybody's like, oh, UFOs move so fast. Well, no, I don't know what these were. So they moved in, and then I'm looking over here at this object and looking at these things at the same time. So there's multiple things happening at the same time. So I never saw them join into each other. So they're at an intersect course. And then next thing I know, it's flying in a long arcing pattern. It's just kind of flying over in a long arcing pattern. Now, I'm going to share some pictures if that is all right with you guys,
Sure.
but I'm going to share a video though that I have. This is not my video. This is a copy of a copy. It's really close to what I saw, and I just stumbled upon this. Would say with under a year, maybe 7 months ago, I stumbled upon this, and what this is this video of this cloud, and you'll see what I'm talking about when you see it moving. So if you want to put that to the screen, Laticia, and then we can, I will start this. So you can see that there's, what I saw was more, this is more corporeal, like see-through, whereas what I saw was a little more solid. So I'm going to play this through and we can watch this thing move. Okay, so it's not really moving much right now. Did it? There we go. Okay, here it starts to go. Here it starts to go. So this, and they zoom in on this thing, and you get a better view of this. So, but what I saw was moving faster. Okay, it was moving a bit faster, but it was very fluid-like. And now unfortunately, it's so zoomed in you can't actually see it moving. It almost looks like it has a face on it or a mouth into it.
Right, it's a very articulate cloud.
Yes.
There.
So, and I almost want to describe it as a bag moving through the air.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so you can see this. It's moving through. Clouds don't move like this, and they're in this video. There are clouds in the background. Let's go here. Yeah, so it's going to back out. It's going to play over a couple of times, and it's going to give you different, like a easier to see. So we can see it kind of going there. Here it is again. Yeah, so this is what I saw, but what I saw was a little more solid. Oops. And
Wow.
That's odd the way that it morphs like that. Yeah.
Yes.
Certainly clouds don't do that.
100%. It is morphing and changing, and this is exactly what I saw. Other than like I said, mine was a little more solid. Yeah. So, and this will be the last little bit of it playing over again, but and like it almost looks like it's flipping over on itself, and then this one almost looks like it grows a mouth, and which maybe brings it into a biological kind of thing that is in the sky. So this is definitely what I saw. And I'm just going to, I'm going to stop that one there. Now I'm going to, let me just, there we go. So I'm going to share some pictures now because I saw these things and I ended up, this went for about 15 minutes. This went on for 15 minutes. Now, I ended up coming back with my good camera, took some panoramic shots, and I plotted out exactly what I saw. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to share my screen again, and I'm going to show you these pictures here. So this first one here that I'm going to share, and just let me know when it comes up there. Okay, so this is this object, this cloud that was floating in the air. So you can see where I first saw the object was here. It moved over to this direction, changed direction the other way. Object flew in this general direction, though it flew very erratically up and down, backwards and forwards, and flipping over itself. It looked weightless in the sky. And then it flew over this way and disappeared after this point. So, like I said, no clouds in the sky. Clear as day, and I'm seeing this cloud flying through the sky.
Definitely not a cloud. I've never seen a cloud change direction in my life.
Like that.
No.
Yeah, like that. No. I agree. And I'll have one more now to show you where these black triangular objects that I had seen as well. Okay, I'm just going to bring this one up. Okay. So now this one these were these black triangular objects. You can say object A started here, object B started here. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah. And this is where the two objects met and continued as one. So at this point, I didn't see them actually meet. And that I will say, but I could see them clear as day, these two black objects. And then they continued to fly in this large trajectory, just flying over, and I lost sight of it over here. And this is all happening at the same time as this white object that is flowing in the sky. Now, one thing I did not show, which because it didn't come out clearly, but in this other video that I just showed before, there is 2 black triangular objects that are flying in this video as well, though they're flying much faster that it's very difficult to see. The video that I saw, they slowed it down, but it was a pain to try to get that to show up when I was editing this so I could share it. And like I said, whoever's the owner of this video, please, talk to me. I'd love to see it. I don't take credit for that video at all. That was someone else's video. I would love to talk to this person because that is exactly what I saw. And they had these 2 black objects flying in and come. And I don't know if they came together, but there's 2 black objects flying. And in this one, they joined together and flew over.
Wow.
Those are, and
That's crazy.
Yeah, clear day, clear as day, and everybody is going about their day, almost as if they're in a Matrix and an NPC and just going grocery shopping, doing this,
almost as if they're under some kind of spell, right, Rye?
100%.
That is indeed what I think the world is under right now, is a satanic spell, and no one looks up anymore, right? And when they look up, they're so conditioned not to question what they see. I've seen UFOs scores of times, my friend, but I know they're not aliens from outer space. So how do I know that? Because aliens from outer space is not on that short list that I just give every one of the entities that interact with mankind during our lives. If aliens from outer space interacting with us is something we have to worry about, then that's something God would have told us about, right? But the Bible teaches us so much about what it says, but also a lot about what it does not say. So aliens from outer space, I do not even believe are real. I think they're demonic manifestations trying to appear as an alien from outer space to get you to believe something that's not biblical. I wonder how many of my Christian viewers believe in life in outer space. I would be interested to know that. And if they know what the Bible says about that. Does anyone here know what the Bible says about life in outer space? Other life? I can tell you, not one single word. So, I believe in the Bible. I believe in the Word of God. And if God doesn't tell me, hey, you better watch out for these aliens from outer space that I created. Oh, by the way, I didn't just create your universe. I created an infinite number of universes and an infinite number of divine creations. Mankind is not the only one. He doesn't say that, right? It's exactly the opposite. Thank you, Justin. And he says that. What's the matter, honey?
Nothing, I was saying thank you.
Right. It's exactly the opposite. He says that we are the divine creation, and Satan and his angels are so mad that God thinks so much of us that we'll be judging the angels, right? So that's just another reason for him to go out and try to kill, steal, and destroy. And I just want to make something really, really clear to everyone. Satan cannot take a single soul. You can't sell your soul to the devil. You can't do anything with your soul because all souls belong to God, right? He has the final say where they go. Satan can tempt you into behaving in a manner that'll put you where he's going to be, but he cannot buy your soul, and it's not something that you can sell. So I believe these aliens from outer space are really just demonic manifestations to get you to believe something that's against the Word of God, and that's my personal opinion. I'm not trying to force it on anyone else. That's just how I feel, and through discernment, God has shown me some things in the last 5 years that I never would have believed 5 years ago. I can tell you what, the truth has set me free. Not only about this the false alien life agenda that the government has, it's going to be part of a big plan to fool a lot of people, even the very elect of God. So everyone needs to watch out for that. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, please just read up. Read what the Bible has to say about any other life or any other place but Earth. Why would, there's been hundreds and hundreds of different descriptions of aliens and alien vehicles and UFOs and flying saucers and the pilots. Why would all these creations that are so much smarter than us, why would they all want to come here to Earth, right? That's because of us, the divine creation. So that's my beliefs. And like I say, no one has to believe exactly like me to be my friend, but I'm up here to tell you the truth as I know it, as it's been given to me. So that's what I'm doing. Hopefully everyone here that believes in aliens from outer space will step back just a second and take a look at what God says and not what man says. Because God says this universe is much different than what man is telling us it is. God calls what we're being fed, spoon-fed every day, science falsely so-called. And Google that and see if I'm not right.
Fantastic. Amen, brother.
So we got a lot of things coming up here, Rye. That's not very good, and I'm thinking something bad probably going to happen before November, before the next election. So
I totally believe so too. I'm under the understanding. So what you're talking about is the false flag from, is the Project Bluebeam, where it's I almost think that's a psyop on a psyop. Project Bluebeam, meaning that everybody believes that the government is going to stage an alien invasion, but perhaps it's actually the angels coming in, because I actually believe that, well, I don't say I believe, but aliens, there is a possibility that I'm open to this possibility that the aliens are fallen angels. But if they're fallen angels, that means that some aliens that people believe are also angels as well, because they are of the same. So it's just that some are fallen and some are not. So is there a possibility that this staged alien invasion, that could be a possibility? Again, these are all possibles. Is the government wanting us to hide when it could be what could be called rapture? It could be something along that line. Could be the 3 days of darkness that are falling upon us.
Well, not only is that a possibility, Rob, I think it's the answer. It's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And the rapture, I've lost so many friends over this, and we'll keep saying this because I know it's true, and it says it right there in the Bible. The rapture only happens at the very end of Revelations, at the very end of the tribulation period, at the final trump of God. Every Christian is going to have to stand or fall according to his faith. There's people in the Middle East getting killed every day because of their belief in Christ. And I'm sure they're probably thinking, well, why was I not raptured? That's because you didn't know the word. And the word is very clear. At the final trump of God, Jesus Christ comes down. He takes up the dead in Christ first, and then those who are living, who remain still, are the ones who get taken up, right? So that's the generation that never knows the pain of death. Which we should all hope and strive to be in that, but we're going to have to go through a lot. So there's a lot of false doctrines out there right now, and the pre-tribulation or mid-tribulation rapture is one of them. It's only about 200 years old. It was made popular back in the late 80s by the Left Behind series, right? But I also want to say, Rye, that you think some of these aliens are angels, good angels, and some are bad angels. Well, any angel that pretends that it's from another planet, even while doing good and telling truth.
Yeah, that's
but
deception.
Any one of them
right?
that pretends like it's from another planet, it's deceiving you, right? Mm-hmm. So it might be doing good things for you, but it's still deceiving you. So the angels from God don't masquerade as gorillas or little alien grays or dog men. Angels from God, you'll know what they are, right?
Definitely.
I just don't believe that they would take any emotion at all to deceive anyone in any way. So deception is not in them, just like it's not in God.
You are
God's not
correct.
now, so
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. And anyone that is saying that it's something else that it's not, then I do agree with that. You know, deception completely voids anything in that context. I just want to give a shout out to my good friend Matt M's from Planet 412. I can see he's
hello,
in the chat
brother
there.
Matt. How you doing?
Hey.
I hope you're doing good tonight.
Now, so this, if we're talking about rapture, this actually brings me to, because there's something that I have. I feel that it may be a gift or something, is my dreams. I always have very intense. I don't lucid dream, but I'm given some very intense visions of things to come. And one of those was one of my shortest dreams, but it was the scariest dream I've ever had in my life, which was, it was back in probably 2020. And my dream was this: I was in my house. My wife was in the kitchen chopping up vegetables or chopping up stuff. My daughter was sitting at the kitchen table eating, and it was in the morning, but it wasn't early morning. It was like maybe 9 a.m. And I had walked into the kitchen and I was looking around, and the power went out. Okay, so it was like, you could, you know, when you hear like the breaker box kind of like click, you know, and everything in the power went out. And I was like, what the heck? And then about 3 seconds later, the best way I can say it is the world went out. And it was as if like, you know, that sound effect when you play video games or you watch movies or something, where it's like large devices powering down and it's like, boom.
Yeah.
It gave this huge sound. And we're talking, everything was black. I could not see. I couldn't see anything. And my wife got very scared, and she ran around the island, because it was in the kitchen. She ran on the island. She caught the edge of the island countertop and fell on the ground. Like, and this is, I can't see this, but I can hear it all happening. And it was this sense of immense fear. Like, what do we do? What do we do? And so that was another thing that kind of pushed me closer to, you know, picking up the Bible again and learning about the 3 days of darkness, you know, when you need to have a a blessed candle so that you can actually have light, and you're going to be tried to be lured out of your, you know, your safety of your house and lured outside where the demons are. And it was so real. This dream was so real, to the point that I actually messaged, I didn't care if people thought I was crazy. I messaged everybody, all my friends, and I was like, I just want you to know this. And about 2.5 weeks later, I am sitting watching a movie, okay? And this movie kind of ties into an episode of the Supernatural Town Hall that myself, Matt, and the Sasquatchers are doing. We talked about the Mandela Effect, and this movie was called The Mandela Effect. And what it was at the end of the movie, the whole world shut down. And it was identical to my dream, to the point that I almost had a panic attack. Like, I've only ever had like one panic attack ever in my life. And I almost had another one at this point because of this fear that I was just watching what had transpired in my dream again, and terrifying. So it was something that still sticks with me to this day. That dream has never, well, most of my very prophetic dreams never leave me, but that was one that still to this day.
Well, you're lucky, Rye. I don't get to remember any of my dreams. Not a single one. Maybe it's better that way. I don't know.
I actually write down every single one of my dreams. I've been doing that since 2011, and I have a journal of over 400 pages full of dreams.
Oh, wow.
Crazy enough that I was looking, someone was talking about something about a dream, and I was looking through my dream journal, and I came across this one of my dreams. And what this dream was in this dream, I had a discussion with a woman. I was in a church. I had a discussion with a woman. She said, "Is this your church?" And I said, No, I don't go to church. Well, she's like, "What? You can't be a man of God if you don't go to church." I said, No. I go out into the trees. I go out into the forest. I go into what God has created. And that is where I communicate and be closer with God, is in these locations. You know, like you break a stone, there I am. You know, you cut open wood, and that's where I'm at. And I explained this to her. And so I was seeing this in a dream, but all of a sudden, I'm like, this just happened. So I asked my wife, I said, we had gone to a church recently. It was this a man who went on a mission. He was blind and he would hand out audio Bibles in Peru. And he asked us to come to this presentation at this church. And at this presentation, there was a woman there where I had this exact conversation. And of course, that's a bit of a coincidence, right? Except I said, what day did this happen on? And she's like, well, that was on Sunday. That was 2 weeks ago Sunday. I'm like, no. What was the specific date this happened on? She's like, that was February 25th. This dream happened February 25th, 4 years prior. So 4 years to the day, I dreamt that I was going to have this exact conversation in a church with this woman who got very aggressive with me. And my wife was very surprised that I kept my cool. And I was like, well, maybe because I practiced it 4 years before. I told my wife, I'm like, hey, guess what? This is the dream that I had 4 years to the day. So it was it was pretty crazy. It was pretty crazy.
Right. Amazing. Yeah. So they say we only get to use 10% of our brains, and I wonder what the other 90% is for, right? It must be for the unconscious world.
I could not agree anymore. Yeah, I've had many prophetic dreams. I actually believe that I'm, and I don't know what the Bible will say about this, but I actually believe that I'm able to, in my dreams, I sometimes change consciousness of people. I go into someone else's body and their consciousness is moved to the side and I'm living their life through them. This is like very similar to, I don't know if you remember the TV show Quantum Leap. It is almost identical to that, where I know I'm in someone else's body. I know, and I actually tell people I'm not this person. Like the one time I was a younger, like an early teenage black boy, and I'm telling people, no, I'm actually a 40-year-old white man. That doesn't go over well, of course, but I'm telling this, I'm like, no, and I have to hold up the charade of their life while I'm trying to accomplish something. The one was, the one time I was in this, I think it was like a 20-year-old boy or young man's life as well. And I had to go to football tryouts. I was in his life and I had to do these football tryouts. I've never played football before, but that's what he was supposed to be doing at that time. So I had to go do it. But in the meantime, I'm trying to return my consciousness back into my own body. And I know that I'm talking to a scientist who is helping me to do that as well.
Wow. So do you think that's just a dream, or do you think you're actually doing that?
I actually think I'm doing it. I actually believe that, people talk that dreams are just your mind recreating things that you've seen or you've done. I'm like, well, and I've had those dreams. Don't get me wrong. I have those dreams where I'm just replaying events that have happened or, creating things that have happened. But there's other dreams that I'm like, nope, this is not that. This is something else. And what it is entirely, I don't fully understand yet, but I know that it's not just a dream.
Wow. So your unconscious life is pretty active there, Rye.
You have no idea. Yeah.
So I want to say something to Mr. Anderson real quick.
Yeah, for sure.
Mr. Anderson. So the Bible has over 200 verses of God describing the earth, right? 200. So I think everyone needs to maybe get a little bit more familiar with these verses, because I know when I read them when I was younger, I didn't understand because I was conditioned by the world not to. Right, but now that I'm older, I can reread it and say, hey, this is not what I've been taught. But which do I believe? What I've been taught by my teachers or what it says here in the Bible? So I choose to believe the Word of God. Over 200 passages describing the earth, 0 describing alien life.
Interesting. Yeah, I think something that we all have to do, and this is the biggest thing, is to unlearn what we've learned so we can actually relearn.
Right. People have no idea the spell they're under. They don't know that they're under a spell. And I didn't. I was under it for 52 years of my life, right? And I've only been free of that spell for 5 years. So, I mean, if it can fool me, I'm not saying I'm anybody special or anything like that, but if it can fool me, it can fool you. Just like that portal video, right?
I would say,
I keep coming back to that, and I'm sorry about that, but that really tore me up. It's 7 months of my life I was studying that video and never once saw it for what it was. But yeah, human perception.
I would definitely say that I'm still getting fooled to this day. Like I'm much more aware, but I still get fooled.
Sure.
It's I'm human. I'm only human. Is the best thing I can say. But that's an insult, but it's also the truth as well. Like we're more powerful than we're led to believe, but I'm gullible.
Right. Well, we're all a little bit that way, but luckily we have the Bible to go back and be our foundation, right? And we can see what the Bible says now that I'm older and wiser, and I'm not just trying to read the Bible, right? I was just trying to get that done. So I could say, well, I've read the Bible, but when you read something and you don't understand it, you're wasting your time, right?
Yeah.
You have to understand what it's saying, and wow, what a difference that was to what I was taught,
So Barton, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What about the other books that have been removed from the Bible? What are your thoughts on like Enoch and
Enoch
Giants?
was actually in the Bible.
Yes.
Since the beginning. It was only taken out 500 years ago, or give or take it, by the Jesuits and the Catholic priests, right? The Vatican.
Yeah.
So if that book, imagine, Ron, if that book was still in the Bible, I wouldn't be up here having to tell anyone about aliens from outer space and what they really are, or I wouldn't have to tell anyone about the shape of the earth, or what's interacting with us, the demonic and the angelic. That's it. You don't have anything else.
Yep. Yep.
So if it's not in the Bible, then I don't believe in it, and it's that simple. And the Bible calls what we're being taught right now, as I said before, science falsely so-called, which is just another word, old-timey word for science fiction. So yeah, I hope that if I help just one person, tonight, it would be worth it to lose all the subscribers that don't believe as I do. Like I say, you don't have to believe as I do to be my friend or speak to me, but I have to be true and tell everyone the truth as I know it, and I've come to understand it. And I see so plainly now that we're all under, or most of us, 98, 99% are under a satanic spell, and we're going to be deceived if we let it. So the things that are coming on the earth will make men die of fright. So it's like I say, don't be scared, be prepared. Read your Bible, know what it says, know what it doesn't say, right? Also know that. And you'll be prepared.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
So I know we're getting close to the end. I have a couple more things if you want to, just if we're going to talk about Inhumanoids, on the channel, I should talk about, so in the area that I live in, and I know in Mexico, everybody associates Mexico with the chupacabra, but here the chupacabra is a joke. Everybody is like,
a mangy canid or a mangy coyote.
Yep. Yeah. They're like that's a joke, but they will all tell you about Alushas.
Yes, the little people.
Yep. And they're about 3 feet tall, and they're not the duendes, like they're really, really small, but these are about 3 feet. They're childlike, and they have been described as like cherubs, like angel, like those cherubs bigger heads, slimmer bodies. Now you can't throw a stone without hitting someone who's had an experience here. It's that common. So in my wife's family, 100%. Even my wife was staying in my brother-in-law has told me the story. My wife, she doesn't like to talk about this stuff that much. So my brother-in-law told me that they were part of a swim team, and they went to this little town that's near here, and it's called, if you pronounce it in English, it's China, but it's called China. and it's this little town that's right next to here. And their swimming coach took them there so they could kind of do a team building exercise. And so they all went there. They're staying in his house, and they're all swinging in hammocks. And the story starts to, the kids start to talk about Alushas. And Alushas are these little people. Now, Alushas can bring you, I don't want to say gifts. They can bring you good luck. They can help you, but they can also cause harm. They can bring sickness. They said that they can bring sicknesses along through the wind to you. And the reason why they do that is if you don't leave them offerings or gifts. Kind of sounds familiar with a lot of other Inhumanoids. When you start gifting them, allegedly they'll start helping you. But if you don't gift them, then they're going to come out and they're going to start causing harm, black magic onto you.
Exactly.
So my brother-in-law, he said that there is in the middle of the night, and they got woken up around 1, 2 in the morning. No, sorry. No, it was about 11:30 at night. That's I messed up on that one. And he was 8 years old. He got woken up, and they can hear laughing and kids playing outside, just outside. And they're in this small community. It's a very small community. There's barely any kids at all, but they can hear a lot of kids playing outside. And so he got up. And it starts waking up the other kids, and then the neighborhood dogs start barking, and the swimming coach, who was kind of the chaperone of this all, woke up, and this was his house, and he's like, okay, yep. He started telling them that, yeah, these are the protectors of the jungle. They are the Alushas, they are the watchers of the jungle, and so you need to leave them offerings. So, no. Sorry about that loud motorbike driving by. But you would put a plate of food or something or sweets outside, and that will cause them to stop. And he said after they did that, he says everything died off, and then the laughing, creepy children laughing in the middle of the night is something to send shivers down your spine.
Right.
So that was,
or in the middle of the woods.
Yeah. We don't even want to go there. That's even worse. So that was my
here, brother.
Yeah.
I have to reply to Chris.
Of course.
So, brother Chris, God doesn't hate you, man. God hates the sin. He does not hate the sinner. So if there's something that's about you that makes you think God hates you, if you turn to God and come to Him, He will take that away from you, whatever it is. So don't think like that. You do fit in. God does not want a single soul to go to hell. He didn't make hell for people. Right? He made it for Satan and his angels, not for you. So remember that. And Brother William, you say that we've known the earth is round since the 5th century, right? Well, God does not say the earth is round. God calls the earth an inscribed circle. Now, of course, that's round, but He does not use the word round. He uses the words inscribed circle. Check that out if you don't believe me. He does not use the word ball. And surely he knew the difference between an inscribed circle and a ball, right? So yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, that's no problem.
I had to address Chris there. I love him. He's been a friend of mine for a long time, and I want to see him in heaven with all of us. So God hates the sin, brother, not the sinner.
Of course. So that was basically my brother-in-law's encounter, which wasn't much. He didn't see that. But my sister-in-law, who married my wife's brother, now she had an encounter when she said she was either between the ages of 7 and 9. So we're getting to that young age again. Now she had saw out in the garden, she saw something moving out in the garden, and she went out there and she approached this. She thought it was a kid, but it ended up being an Alush. She said it had a large head, and she was maybe 15 feet away from this. And it had a large head, no clothes on. And she said it was glowing had a silverish glow to it. And she wasn't scared, but this is not something she was down with, and she said, right by her brother's bike. It was by her brother's bike. And so she saw it and she went right back into the house. But she believes, though, that this gave her it gives gifts. It can give gifts if you are a good person. If you're a good person, you can receive a gift. And she actually believes she has she said it's the gift of vision. She never went into too far on that one. I need to talk to her a little bit more about that, but she said she has the gift of vision. So I don't know if it's foreseeing the future or foreseeing, how people are or what exactly that is. But
Right.
and I asked her a little bit more. I'm like, well, did you see if it had any, like if it was male or female? And she says, no, she didn't. She says it was about 1 meter tall, so 3 feet tall. And I asked her a little bit more about it. I said, did it have hair? She said she doesn't recall much for hair, but because it had this, the body itself had this silverish glow to it.
Right. So that's not typical of the illusion description, though, right?
Nope. No, I don't think so either. I didn't question her too much on that one, but because I'm saying that's more around like possibly alien, gray.
Yeah. Right. So, yeah, it's funny. All the mysteries that I've looked into since 1985, pretty much every single one of them, the only one I've ever found any concrete evidence for is the little people. I found what I call a pygmy flint, and my brother found one too, and they were so tiny that they could fit on half of your pinky fingernail, right?
So now we're talking like the duende type, like these.
We're talking, these people must have been maybe 12 inches tall.
Yeah.
Somewhere around that area. And I found one footprint near where my brother found that arrowhead. It was a 5-pointed arrowhead, but you have to put it under a magnifying glass to appreciate the craftsmanship. The pressure flaking alone, I don't know what. Maybe it could have used a needle to do this, but it was, you just couldn't see it, appreciate it with the naked eye. And
yeah.
One footprint, around 2.5 inches long, right there. No other prints. It was so strange, but we ended up losing the pygmy flints back in the 80s, and that's one of my biggest regrets, right?
Of course.
Because that probably could have actually proven something to someone somewhere to have an actual tool that these little people used. But like I say, they were much smaller than 3 foot. But I remember back in reading about back in the 1930s in Wyoming, the San Pedro Mountains, they found some gold prospectors found they were chipping away some rock and found a room. I think they said it was 4 foot tall, 3 foot tall, 4 foot wide, and 15 foot deep. And inside, at the very end of the room, was this little mummy. And they caused a big, hello, tripping up on you. It caused a big sensation when they found this thing, right? Because it was tiny. And so the first thing they did is an X-ray on it, and I proved that it was a real being. And I think he ended up saying it was a child, a small child with a deformity and encephalitis,
Yeah.
And eventually the mummy disappeared. No one knows where it's at right now. So.
I got an idea.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Smithsonian, but they're more of the giants though. But the Smithsonian,
Well, according to the Smithsonian, they never collected a single giant bone, right? And we have literally thousands of newspaper accounts of them coming in and digging into the mound builders' mounds, right? And most of the Indians, they when they're asked about the mounds, they're like, well, we don't know. They were here when we got here, so we didn't build them. So, but some did, but most didn't. And I think they're from a different race of people altogether than the Native North Americans. Yeah, very interesting subject. Yeah.
I'm going to be having someone come on soon who is. I think you'd be very interested in that one, Barton. He talks a lot about the Nephilim and Genesis 6. It's actually called the Genesis 6 Conspiracy. He has written a book, and
really,
yeah. So I have him booked for actually a couple months from now because he's that popular. But
wow. Well, I'll have to check it out, man. And
definitely.
Someone asked me if I knew L.A. Marzulli. No, I don't know L.A. Marzulli. I've heard of the name.
I am interviewing L.A. Marzulli next week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, is he what is he exactly, Rye? You don't mind me?
We're talking Nephilim. So he's
Nephilim.
really into the Nephilim. Yes. Yep. And then he also, there's someone, Kristen Wilkinson. She's written a book, and it's published by L.A. Marzulli. She talks about aliens and alien abduction, and she's not a fan of them at all. And that is very interesting as well. So that's another one that's coming. I have her booked as well. So
wow. So you guys be sure to go to Rye's.
It's a mouthful.
Yeah. Codex of Curiosities, right?
Yeah, there we go.
So, check that out, subscribe, and leave a comment and like. You know, it's all about the algorithm. You know, it's if you can't defeat YouTube's algorithm, you have no chance. So you're basically up here just
grinding away.
Your time, just grinding away. It's like I said a couple of days ago, it's like a trout swimming upstream, but the current's way too swift, and he's just getting an inch at a time with maximum effort, right? And he just gains an inch at a time. But that's the way YouTube is. So y'all go check out Rye's channel.
I'd really appreciate that.
Man.
I can see Jonestead Farm is saying, yeah, I've been studying Gary Wayne's work for over a year. So yeah, that's exactly who I have coming on in April. I got him scheduled for April.
Nice.
Awesome.
So everybody can see that Rye is a good, God-fearing man, family man. He's not about the smoke. He's just about the truth, and I can tell you are, Rye, and it's a good thing to meet someone like you. It really is, because it's a blessing to me. And you know.
Yeah, you know what, Barton. Like, you know, I've heard a lot about you, Barton, but people talking about you doesn't do it justice when meeting you, you know, and just actually talking to you. You know, you're a fantastic person. It's really down to earth, and I really appreciate that.
Well, so are you, and I appreciate you coming on this show and telling us all your stories. It was very, very interesting stuff. And if anybody has a question for Rye,
well, we got one right here. What night does Rye's show come on?
All right, so I release my interviews. I release them on Thursdays on YouTube, but on Tuesdays we have what's called the Supernatural Town Hall sessions, and we do that on Matt Emch's channel on Planet 412. So it's me, Matt, and then the two Sasquatchers, and I will be appearing on a couple other channels. I know Rob, Bigfoot Michigan Rob, I'm going to be coming on his channel next month here as well. So.
Love being more, yeah. Love Matt.
Yeah. So you can find me everywhere almost, but yeah, on my channel, I release every Thursday. But I do have other ones that I'm doing. I'm also actually putting together I'm trying to put together a documentary on glitches in the Matrix, and so I'm interviewing people. So if anybody in the audience who's had glitches in the Matrix, please contact me, and I'm putting together a documentary as best as I can on that as well.
Awesome.
Excellent. And we'll add you to our recommended channel list, brother.
I appreciate that immensely. That means a lot. Thank you, guys.
You are definitely worthy. And like I say, it's a blessing to me to meet people like you. The Lord's been bringing people into my life that are just outstanding.
Yeah.
You know, I had 3 brothers growing up, and now I have about 13. So, yeah. Very blessed.
Family is growing.
Right, and that's not counting my sisters. I have about 10 or 11 sisters too now, instead of just 2. So yeah, so everything's going as it's supposed to, I guess, and we're just up here doing what we're supposed to be doing, and that's telling everybody the truth, brother. You know, that's how we help people. We teach them what we know. We teach them what we know that's true, and that's how we help people. So. Any more questions for Rye? Anybody?
And I have like one last comment. I'd say, like, you know, the ocean's big enough for us all. You know, rising waters raises all ships. You know, and I'm all about supporting every other channel and everyone else, you know, that work together. It's, you know, there's no competition between us. It's all about, you know, supporting each other, and I think that's a huge thing. It's and you know, I've had, you know, like Josh, when I first started my other channel, you know, Josh had me come on to his channel, into the Paranormal Roundtable, you know, and I don't want to say I'm a nobody, but I was just a small potatoes, and I really appreciate that. And it was kind of like I've had this mentality that that's what I wanted to do as well. If I ever do get bigger, I'm never going to look away from any of the small channels. I'm never going to be looking away for anybody else that needs help. I'm there to try to help everybody in any way, shape, or form.
That's what we're trying to do.
Exactly. And there's none of us that's any better than the next one, right?
Yep.
Brother Josh, love him. He's been on the show a lot. And we've been friends.
And these ladies right here, Brandy and Krista as well, they did the same. They did the same for me as well too when I was with the Lost Frequency, and I really, it's things like that I appreciate immensely, and I like sharing my stories.
Hollywood and Krista, salt of the earth, and just like all my brothers and sisters out in chat, and my Anna, hello, hun, Charlie, Sherry, Moon at Noon. All my wolf brothers and sisters out there, Daryl and Martin, Mark, and of course Hollywood up there. She's my wolf sister. So
and I also want to say, sorry.
Family's growing really nicely, and it's you couldn't happen to more deserving people. I think there's a reason that we're all getting put together here, right? Whereas I've spent my whole life. Since 1985, doing this alone. Now I have a lot of people behind me and helping us and contributing and donating. Thanks to everyone who donated tonight. You guys are the best. We have the best audience, the smartest audience. Hate to come back to it, but they saw right immediately what that portal video was, and they're like, "Why can't you see this?" I'm like, "Oh no! Help me to see this." So finally they did, and I learned. Everyone learns, and that's what we're here for. We're here to help each other.
Did he have anything else you want to say?
Yeah, you want to say anything else, Brother Rye?
Just one thing is just, I just want to shout out to everyone who is in the, watching this video, all the comments. If I did not respond, I'm sorry. I had a lot to say, but I appreciate everybody, just giving me a shout out. I really appreciate that, or just being here tonight and listening to, listening to us talk. I really appreciate that. And it's because of you. Well, I do this because of everything. It's so intriguing and interesting to me that I want to, find out more truths, and I want to bring people together so we can all discover the truths. But it's also everybody else that is listening and watching, you make it what it is. And I appreciate that.
Sure do. And we couldn't do it without you, that's for sure.
Amen.
So let's thank everyone for their donations individually now. I don't want anyone to feel like they're left out or overlooked.
Okay.
And Brother Rye, you just hang on there for just a minute. We're almost
not a
done.
problem.
All right. Thank you, DJ Tyler Radio. Thank you, Larry Fisher, Sherry Griffey, Truthy Ruthie.
Hi, Truthy.
Fisher of Spam.
Hello there, brother.
Justin Boyd, you rocked it tonight.
Thank you, Justin.
Buddy.
We appreciate your generosity. We really do.
Indy Southpaw, thank you so much.
Thank you, sister. You're there for us every time, and we'll be meeting up soon, I'm sure.
Smurfy, thank you. Glad you got your package.
Yes, and I'm sorry I called you a woman, Smurfy. I got you confused with Sparky. But I know better now. I apologize for that.
There's that honesty again. Truthy Ruthie, thank you again. Appreciate you. Justin Boyd, thank you so much. You rock tonight. Thank you guys for getting our likes up there so that he had to hold on to his end of the bargain. We sure do appreciate it. Brandy, Blondes, and Booze, thank you.
Brandy, you've been a member for 3 months.
Right.
I've been a member for 3 months, yes.
Founding member here. And I never would have done this if it wasn't for my friends like Josh and you guys telling us, you should do this and you should do that. I'm like, no, I don't want to get in front of the camera. No, I don't want to be on videos. No, I don't want to speak in public. But,
I know it.
The good advice. And here I am. Here me and Laticia are right now. And I think we're at least trying to do some good and trying to help someone. Maybe we have, and I hope we have.
Right. Well, I did want to mention something. I did want to mention something before we leave here, that Blondes and Booze tomorrow night has a really big show coming up. We have Thomas Winterton, which is the manager of Skinwalker Ranch. He is going to be on our show tomorrow night. That is at 8 p.m. Central. So make sure you tune in and don't miss that one because I've been waiting forever for this show, it seems like.
Sounds good.
We will definitely be there.
Yeah, I misgendered Smurfy Hollister. That was my fault.
You confused Smurfy with
Spilling
spilling
tea.
tea with
I call her Sparky, Sister
Sparky.
Sparky. That's called Smurfy, Sister Smurfy.
Sister Smurfy.
But I apologize for that, my friend. And thanks everybody for joining us tonight. Thank you, Rye, brother. You was did a fantastic job, and we learned a lot, and that's what we're here to do. We all need to keep learning and keep trying to learn. So at first, even if it sounds crazy, you know, a lot of things that I know right now, if someone would have told me 5 years ago, I would have swore them down they were crazy or a mental, degenerate.
You got to screw loose, is what they would have said.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Danny, for sending me that email. I appreciate it. Maybe I'll be able to figure that out.
And to all those who have sent me emails, I promise you I will get to them. Thank you for your patience. I'm going to do some more filming, I think, tomorrow. So we'll have another video or two to drop this weekend. And thanks to everyone who's writing to me and telling me what's happening to them and sending in the pictures and everything. It's just amazing. It's like the floodgates have opened now, and it's going to be like a little stream is going to turn into a waterfall very, very quickly. Thanks, Tripping Up on you, brother.
Thank you, Tripping.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you guys here. So thanks everyone for joining us. Remember, don't be scared, be prepared, and we can get through this if we stand together and we find our strength together. So this is how we do it. So you guys have a good night, and we'll see you next Wednesday, which will be open mic night again. Everyone loved that, so we're gonna try to do that like every other Wednesday.
Yeah.
To give people a chance to go in. So you guys, thanks for being here. We love you all. Be safe. Take care of one another. Be kind to one another. And we'll see you next Wednesday.
Good night, guys.
Good night.